Welcome to the hunt.
Good afternoon and welcome to Huntcast. Greg and Doug here. We're glad that you can tune in. Today, March the 24th. Weather doesn't seem like it's March 24th, but
No.
we'll let that roll.
Yeah.
See what happens this week. But we got a pretty exciting episode this week. Unfortunately, there was a lot of stuff that happened in the industry this past week that we're going to get into. But we are going to start off with our third bow breakdown. And this week we got the Canadian company, up out of Saskatchewan.
Yes.
We're talking about APA Archery, and these bows are pretty badass. Really cool bows. They've been around for quite a while. So Doug, jump in here. What bow we got today?
So today we're going to talk about the APA Black Mamba 29.
Mamba.
So, yeah. 29 inches, axle to axle. It has a 6 1/4 brace height. Comes in at a measly 3.5 pounds.
Yeah,
so
baby.
super light. Draw is adjustable from 24 to 30.
Mm-hmm.
And it's 40, 80 pounds. So
Without 5 pound increments. So it's solid
it's
10 pounds.
Yeah, 10 pounds each. And it has a 80% let off, and that's not adjustable. So 80% across the board, regardless of, what weight you're going to shoot. And it comes in at a screaming 355 feet per second IBO.
Yep. And so this bow is real tiny. We've had it for about a week now. Super small.
Yeah.
Kind of feels like a toy in your hand for how light it is.
Yeah.
And what's funny is, so I'm actually looking in the catalog right now. So the Black Mamba version is available in 29, 33, 36, and 38. So you want a screaming target bow, 3D bow, that 38 will do it for you.
Yeah.
But what's cool about this bow is APA is one of the only companies that puts out kinetic energy. So at 70 pounds, this bow has 97.97 pounds of kinetic energy when it lands. So that's pretty heavy to hit something with. And, Doug mentioned how light it is. It is 3.55. So it's, again, I've felt paperweights that way more than that.
Yeah.
So we went ahead and did a little research on some of the light bows, quotes, they're light bows on the market. So you have the Matthews Lift, which has been screaming all about their lightweight. It comes in at 3.99. We'll call it 4.
Yeah. And these are all carbon bows, by the way.
Yeah. Well, the Lift is not carbon and the Darton is not carbon.
Oh, that Darton sequel?
Yep. The sequel is not carbon.
Okay.
Both of those are aluminum risers.
Okay.
So then you go to the Hoyt Carbon RX8, which is their new flagship carbon bow this year.
Yep.
That comes in a straight 4. Then you have the PSE Mach 30, which is a really nice bow. That's going to be the closest to the Black Mamba at 3.6. Then you have the Carbon 1 from Bowtech at 4.5. And then the Darton Sequel 31 at 4.45. So we call it 4.5 for round numbers.
Yeah.
But so price-wise, this bow suggested retail is, I believe, $13.99, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And I got to go back into the book to find that answer. I believe it's $13.99. Yes. Yeah. So suggested retail.
Right.
That's what they're telling you is the suggested retail, $13.99. So you're playing, big boy prices.
Yeah.
But the bow has a whole lot more features. So, besides it being super fast, non-adjustable let off, and lightweight, you get what they call their tool center on the bow.
Yeah.
Which gives you the broadhead sharpener, the broadhead turner or tightener, a knock turner, and this bow is field-strippable to take your strings and cables off if you do have a, horrible accident. But there is a pin that comes out near the grip that you can lock your cam in place and decable it and de-string it and put it all back together in the field without a bow press. So you're getting a whole lot of stuff for that price.
Yeah.
Not to mention, if you've ever seen one of these bows, they're all kind of named after snakes. So you have the Black Mamba, the King Cobra, and the Serpent. They all have like snake fangs on the front.
Yeah.
And that's your bow hook. So you don't have to have, a hook in your tree. No, on this one, it's a single. the King Cobra, it's like a dual fang deal, and I feel a little more comfortable hanging that off of a limb rather than this little single one. But,
Yeah, right.
And if you remember last week, we talked about these guys a little bit. These guys were one of the only ones still doing solid limbs.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's a lot of speed, a lot of stuff going on for a pretty lightweight bow.
Yeah, real aggressive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, real aggressive. And it's a real short, and that's how they get away with, such a lightweight. It's just it's a real short riser.
Yeah.
It's not a parallel limb, so that's why they can get away with that short riser. Probably not as stable as some of the others. I don't know if I'd want to take it out west and shoot.
Oh, yeah, definitely
70 yards, across open field, but
no,
as a tree stand bow, or I sit in a blind. Yeah, that's what it's for, I guess.
Yeah, I think, putting a big hold on something that, 50, 60, 70 yards in the open, like an elk or a mule deer or something, I don't see anybody holding that still.
No, definitely not. But if you're kind of,
20, 30 yards coming out of a tree or a blind,
you're hanging off of the saddle and you're contorting and, then that's what it's designed for. So
I don't know if I'm real excited about the draw in the saddle, but
yeah,
you'll see if you follow us on YouTube as well. We're going to do that bow breakdown today. So we did give it a scotch of a turn down. 60 pounds, man. It's aggressive at 60 pounds.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, it is.
But you'll get to see all that. We're going to shoot it through the chrono with our arrows and give you the lowdown there.
Yep.
And you'll get to see it in person, because it's funny. Doug's a little bit shorter than I am, so it still looks small on him.
Yeah.
But I'm 6'2". It literally feels like a toy in your hand.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's weird, but definitely worth a look. They do some serious customizations where they'll actually coat your cam if you want a special cam color. If you want the riser inserts done, they'll engrave your name on a limb pocket. Just a whole lot of stuff that they can do, that they offer. So we recently just brought them into the store, and they're one of the only companies that still does a 100-pound limb.
Yeah.
Not just
nuts.
I don't know who would want to draw that bow, but
yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah.
Especially that aggressive.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. Like,
I can't imagine 80 pounds with that bow.
No.
Forget about 100.
No. In the 33, we did sell a 33 that was customized for someone, and it was 80 pounds. And he was like, well, you could shoot it. And I'm like, no, I'm not even going to worry about that. You can do that on your own.
Word for it. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's going to be our bow breakdown today on YouTube. So it'll be the APA Black Mamba 29. You can check them out at, should have wrote this part down. It's apaarchery.com. They have a huge YouTube page. They do a lot of videos shooting the 100-pound limbs. They do all kinds of arrow testing. So definitely, one to take a look at.
Yeah.
They are out of Bigger, Saskatchewan, Canada.
Okay.
So check them out, apaarchery.com.
Yeah, or if you're local, come down to the shop.
Come down to the shop. We have a couple more. We have the Serpents and a Mamba Air, which is kind of like a young adult bow, women's bow, a little bit lighter, a little bit less aggressive.
Yeah.
So we'll have those coming next couple of weeks. But that's about the only downfall. Coming from Canada takes forever for stuff to get through customs.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
But so before we jump into our big talk today, Doug, we had ASA Fort Benning this weekend.
Yes, we did. Wet, very wet.
Yes. If you saw some of the pictures or videos from Fort Benning, and I saw pictures, there was guys almost standing knee deep in water.
Yes.
And I don't find that fun. Like,
no, but it wasn't raining at that point.
Right.
I think early in the week it was raining, and then rain stopped, but the damage had been done.
Oh yeah.
That picture I sent you, they're wearing muck boots, and they're a couple of inches from going over top of the boots.
Yeah. And I know practice day, I think, was Thursday, and it was raining.
Yeah.
And, they all had their little clear covers over their bows and umbrellas all over the place.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not my type of fun to shoot a 3D tournament in for sure.
No.
But
no, that one picture, the pin was just barely above the water.
Yeah, it was just sticking out. Like, oh, yeah, that's where I got to stand. Cool.
Yeah, a couple of inches above the water line. So crazy. But
so a lot of movement this week. Not a lot of the big names not in there.
Yeah.
So we'll start with women's known. Cassidy Cox was your winner there. She's a dart and shooter. Morgan Rivas, and then Kyna Stevens. I believe
she shoots elite,
right?
Yeah, she's an elite shooter.
So then we go to known pro, Kyle Douglas up the top. Curtis Broadway, Dan Johnson finished that out. Then you had men's open. This was a pretty big swing of people because a good friend of ours who ended up coming in fourth, Betty Barger, who shoots PSC and is the sales manager, I believe, for B3. So he shoots for B3 as well. He was in the shoot down, and I didn't get to see any of it because we had a pretty big event going on last night at the shop. But he unfortunately came in fourth. Chance Bobuff came in first. Dan McCarthy, that was his first podium, I believe. I don't think he podiumed last week.
I don't
or
believe
2
so.
weeks ago.
No, I don't believe
And then Jacob Marlowe came in third. And it was funny because I was watching Competition Archery Media Instagram, I think it was on Thursday, and they were interviewing a bunch of shooters and said if there was one person on the ASA tour that you wouldn't want to date your daughter, who would it be? And when I tell you, like, everybody said Jacob Marlowe. And it was just funny. And then they interviewed him, and he said Chance Bobuff.
Okay.
But we'll go to women's pro. Sharon Wallace coming in big. Erin McLattery came in second. Kaylee, and I didn't write her last name down, and I don't know why. So, Kaylee, I apologize if you're listening. But she came in third. And then senior pro. Why didn't I not write this guy's first name down?
I don't know.
I only have Owens written down. So I apologize there. And then I have Jeff Hopkins. I have his whole name. And Harold Kogar. So I apologize.
Yeah.
And then senior known was Randy Morocco. The Hammer came in second.
Yep.
Tim Gillingham. And Mike Hulbert came in third. So I'm going to reflect back to a comment I made, I think it was 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago when they were at Foley.
Yep.
I don't see Levi's name in there.
Nope, didn't see him.
I'm chalking it up to the arrows.
Could be. Could be.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But no. So they fought through a lot of crap weather, and
I don't think Tim has seen the big podium either, has he?
no, he wasn't. No, he won in Foley, didn't he? No, he came in second in Foley.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, second in Foley.
So
you guys are fighting through some stuff early in the
Yeah.
season. But
Yeah.
we got a lot more shooting to do, so not a big deal. They'll figure it out, I'm sure.
well, listen, those two guys are
Yeah.
that's the least of.
Same thing with Danny McCarthy. I mean, Danny
Yeah.
McCarthy last year, I think he was on every single podium throughout the whole season.
Yeah.
So, and Paige missed it. Tanja missed it.
Which that's of all of them, that's those are
That's the ones that surprised me.
Yeah.
The most.
And I'm
Right.
sure the weather had a lot to do with it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I know I did see something Paige said normally she doesn't shoot her fat arrows, her 23s in the rain.
Yeah.
But because she just built a setup the week prior, she didn't have field arrows for it.
Okay.
So I don't know if I can use that as an excuse, but I shoot 27s for 3D. So
Yeah.
rain, snow, heat, whatever, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I missed something. It was my bad.
Right.
But so we're gonna jump into this, but we're gonna precursor this conversation with we are not lawyers. We are giving our opinion on the situation, and we're not trying to argue with anybody. Everybody has their own opinion.
Yeah.
We're not trying to start anything. We're giving you what we know by printing out the papers that we have printed out.
Yeah.
Of lawsuits, patents,
Right.
so on and so forth.
And it's all public knowledge.
All
It's
public knowledge, correct.
It's all available to everybody. So
we're just going to give our breakdown. Obviously, this is a little different because, one, Doug and I both know the owners of Athens very well, and we were an Athens dealer. So, Doug, lead us off. What we're going to talk about first here.
yes. So I guess the news broke on
Wednesday.
Was it Wednesday?
Mhm.
Wednesday morning. So the news broke Wednesday morning that Athens Archery was shutting their doors.
Mhm.
Just all of a sudden, no advance notice.
Nope.
Just bang. Doors are closed.
8:30 in the morning, I got my email.
Yeah. And I think probably about an hour later, it hit Facebook.
Mhm.
I think Tracy posted something on Facebook about an hour
Yep.
later or so. So, just out of nowhere, kind of blindsided everybody.
Yeah.
And it's over.
It's over.
Had a little fire sale on
Parts.
Thursday and
Mhm.
Friday, getting rid of all the parts. And
Wednesday and Thursday.
was it Wednesday?
Yeah,
and
they were
Thursday?
shut down by end of business on Thursday.
Okay. So 2 days, empty the warehouse out, and it's over.
That's it.
Yeah.
So it's a bummer, number one. So I'm gonna talk to you both as a Athens dealer and somebody who knows Jim and Tracy well. So obviously, everybody kind of knew why the reason everything went the way it went. So if you're not familiar, in the beginning of the year, Athens introduced the new Axis line of bows, which had their AccuTune cam. Their AccuTune cam was a tunable cam system. Obviously, we mentioned this last week when we were talking about the history of bows and so on and so forth.
It's funny how this all happened 3 days after
literally
last week's episode, where the whole episode was based on patents and other companies, how they feed off each other. And so it's kind of strange how it all happened.
So we
weren't the reason for it.
Yeah, I hope so too. But so basically, everybody knows that Bowtech 2 years ago, I believe it was, right? 3 years ago, 3 years ago?
2 years ago.
2 years ago, came out with their Deadlock cam system, which was a tunable cam system.
Oh, no, Bowtech's had that for more than 2 years.
Was it?
You're talking about the
tunable?
Yeah, that's been, I don't know the exact year, but I know it's at least 2. It's probably closer to 4 years, honestly.
Okay. So regardless, they've had it for a little bit.
Yeah.
We had mentioned last week, that when they came out with this, that we obviously knew that Jim had figured out to study this and make sure that there wasn't going to be any issues. Regardless of what we think, because we're not the lawyers, we don't have the money in the game. Bowtech seemed that this bothered them, so they filed a lawsuit in February of 24. Yep.
February 9th.
February 9th. Yep. So sometimes stuff, they handle stuff outside of court. They do this because they want it to be known that, hey, this is what we're doing. But normally they get together, companies get together and figure some crap out. It is what it is, and nobody really ever hears of it. This was obviously not the case when we received our email on Wednesday. So, Doug, you have Bowtech's here. We looked at the cam system.
Yeah.
I have my Athens Axis 31 here. We looked at the cam system.
Yeah.
My opinion, I don't, aside from the fact that both of them move the cam, I don't see a similar thing about them. So I'll let you make your opinion, and then we'll kind of go to what the lawsuit says.
Yeah. Well, my opinion, and I'll preface this by saying, I've got both, right? I shoot a Bowtech. Right. I shoot an Athens. So I have no brand loyalty. Right. I've got 3 different brands on the rack, and I shoot every one of them. Right. So I'm not a fanboy in a certain brand that I just, live and die by. It doesn't matter to me. But as I read through the complaint from Bowtech, it's kind of broad. It doesn't give specifics on how the cam is tuned. It just says a tunable cam, which is very broad. Yeah. So if that is the case, where their complaint is that they have a tunable cam, then I kind of get where they're coming from. Sure. But they do it in a different way. It's similar. Yeah. It's very similar in how they do it. One is threads and kind of a corkscrew deal, and the other one is a smooth axle where
a little bar pops out.
And it kind of pushes the cam over. So they do it in a different way. They accomplish the same exact thing. Right. And I think that's where the issue is. Again, obviously we're not lawyers, so we don't know. And, you read through it, it's just a bunch of,
Yeah, it's a whole bunch of legal.
Yeah, legalese.
I swear lawyers don't know how to type full sentences. I'm horrible at typing full sentences, but man, it's like, stop. Stop. And then, hey, finish the damn sentence. I want to know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically that's where, Doug and I are both at. We get it. Now, I, specifically took the Athens that I have now because they were, closing up. So I wanted to have one to hunt with. We had sold a whole bunch of them. Obviously, I got a lot of phone calls from customers because it did go to the interwebs and, oh my God, what is this? What is that? What is this? And what I did was, 1, I didn't fire sale any of the bows. 2, I called and talked to Jim and Tracy and ordered parts. So I will have parts just for the fact to, if something does break, hopefully we can fix it. Right. But a lot of people, when this all happened, they kind of fire saled, whether it was owners or dealers. They were blowing these bows out. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with the bow.
No, it's a great bow.
Right. So super smooth, all this. And my whole thing when all this happened after we got this was, because I don't know the back end of it. I don't know was there letters involved? Was there talks involved? I don't know any of that. We just know what is, as we said before, public knowledge. So you can print the lawsuit, you can print the patents, and all that fun stuff. So if there was none of that beforehand, to me, it was a gigantic company being scared of a little company that came out with something a little bit better that was, in my opinion, on a better bow for drawability, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it just came down to a corporate deal where they're like, well, we're just going to put them out of business. But so where did that go? That little highlighted piece. So I'm going to have Doug read this highlighted piece. It's on like page 3 or 4 of the lawsuit.
Yeah. So, and then this is why I highlighted this, because this is where it's kind of broad and it's not specific, but it says that the defendant promotes, which in this case, the defendant is Athens.
Mm-hmm.
Athens promotes and advertises that the they're calling it accused, but accused instrumentalities have incorporated a so-called AccuTune cam or pulley, which allows the user to optimize bow performance and accuracy by laterally adjusting the bow's pulley left or right, depending upon tuning needs, as illustrated below from a screenshot of Athens' YouTube video. So basically, what Bowtech did is they went right to YouTube and they just kind of used that as the fuel for this fire.
Right.
And the breakdown that Athens has on YouTube, they just use that as Exhibit A, Exhibit B. So just reading that, like I said, it's very broad. It doesn't talk about how the cam is moved left and right. It just mentions the fact that it does move left and right. So to me, as a layperson, when I read that, if that is the case, if the patent is simply having a cam that moves left or right, then that would be, in my opinion, an infringement.
Sure.
It's done in different ways, but the bottom line is you're able to move your cam left or right by turning a screw.
Right.
So
and that's the downfall, as Doug just said, it's broad. So it doesn't say how the cam is moving. It just says the cam is moving.
Right.
So take any bow out there and put a shim in it. For Matthews, for example, put a top hat in it.
Right. The
new PSEs with their half moon shims, the half moons on a prime.
Yep.
Guess what you're doing? You're moving your cam.
Yes.
Granted, it may not move a quarter of an inch on the axle.
Right.
But you're moving it.
Yes.
So why isn't there 50 other lawsuits out there going after Matthews, PSE, prime, whoever?
Yeah.
I think.
Well, it's because they're on the same level as far as corporations, right?
Yep.
So, you've got Bowtech
I'm glad that Doug researched this part of it, because it's pretty funny.
Yeah. So Bowtech is a $60 million a year company.
Owned by JDH Investment Group.
Yes. They have 101 employees. Matthews is a $62 million company with 122 employees. Athens is a $6 million company with 14 employees.
Right.
So it's basically just the big boy just squashing the little guy.
Yep.
Just like, Home Depot did to all the little mom and pop hardware stores. They don't exist anymore because they can't compete.
Yep.
And that's really what that's just corporate America.
Right.
And it sucks.
It definitely sucks.
It sucks.
Yeah.
But that's just the world we live in now. So just unfortunate. It's unfortunate all around. It's
right. It's not only did it obviously hurt Athens as a company, they shut down. They had 14 employees.
Yeah.
Thankfully it wasn't 100 and some employees, but 14 employees that now have to find jobs.
Yep.
Dealers who, thankfully for us and unthankfully at the same time, Athens was a very big brand for us.
Yeah.
Just because of the drawability of the bow. But we only had 4 bows left in the shop.
Yeah.
There's some dealers that have 10 or 20 bows.
Sure.
And now what do you do?
Right.
So as I said before, I didn't fire sale any of the bows because they're still brand new. Granted, because the doors are closed, there is no warranty.
Right.
Really, unless you have a D-lam or, a cam falls apart for no reason.
Right.
There's no real warranty on a bow out there anyway.
No.
You drop it out of your tree stand. Doesn't matter if it's a Matthews, a PSE, a Hoyt. You dropped it out of your tree stand. You're paying to fix it.
Yeah.
You dry fire a bow, same thing.
Yeah.
So the people that freaked out because, the warranty's gone, how many people own used cars? Your used car warranty is usually 30 days.
Yeah.
So, okay, your 30 days is up, something breaks. Guess what? You're paying for it.
Yeah. Well, my issue with that is you're taking a loss. You're guaranteed a loss.
Right.
So if you have these bows and you're just dumping them, you're taking a loss. Guaranteed taking a loss.
Absolutely.
If you hold on to the bow and shoot it for the next 5, 6, 7, 10 years, whatever it may be, and with no issues, now you don't have a loss.
Right. And most people that are big in archery buy a bow every 3 years anyway.
Right.
So,
yeah. Now,
take care of your equipment.
Yeah. And down the road, resale value won't be there, obviously, but that's okay. Listen, most bows, they lose their value anyway after a few years with new technology coming out. So, yeah, I don't see why you would take the loss right up front. It doesn't make sense to me.
No.
Just roll the dice and hopefully nothing happens and it's not even an issue.
Right.
So
and I tell customers all the time that come in that are looking for a new bow, well, I got to sell mine. Keep it as a backup.
Right.
If there's nothing wrong with the bow, keep it as a backup.
Yeah.
God forbid you do drop one out of a tree stand or forget that was on the back of your truck and start traveling down the highway and it falls off.
Yeah.
Well, you still have a bow to shoot for that season.
No doubt.
Because it's like a car. You don't, the value doesn't stay there. The minute you drive it off the lot, you lost value already. So just shoot the thing.
Yeah. And it's not like there were inherent problems anyway. I mean,
Right.
Athens was such a super nice bow.
Yep.
There were never issues anyway. So why would you anticipate issues
all of a sudden?
Right. If there was a certain model that, had known problems, okay.
Yeah, different story.
Yeah, but these things were just rock solid and there were never any issues with them. So
no.
to think you would have issues in the future is kind of silly. So,
but yeah, so, the unfortunate part in that me being in the industry as long as I have and Doug understands it, even though he doesn't come from the industry, unfortunately, shit like this happens all the time.
Yeah.
Somebody suing somebody because of something that doesn't exist, or it's just to try to get somebody to fold up or whatnot. So most recent, we'll go back to 2020.
Right.
And the plaintiff in the current lawsuit was sued by Matthews.
Yes.
And Matt McPherson, and for those of you that have heard me talk, I'm not a big Matthews fan, but
no,
at the same time, it's, there's a copy of a letter that Matt McPherson wrote to Bowtech saying, hey, you're infringing upon our patents. We can fix this way, or, we're going to have to take it to court. That went on they filed the lawsuit 8 years before it was settled.
Yeah.
But Bowtech lost. And they listed, how many bows was it?
Oh, man. A ton.
It was like 24 bows or something.
25, 30 bows, I bet.
2, 4, 6, 1, 2, 3, 13 times 3. So that's how many bows.
Almost 40, 39 bows.
Yeah, so.
Almost 40 bows. Basically their entire lineup.
Right. It started all the way from the Atomic all the way up to the Specialist 2.
Yeah.
I think the only ones that didn't get hit, because this was in 2020, which was when the Reckoning came out, if I'm not mistaken.
Right around there, yeah.
Yeah, so the Reckoning was not included. But, there's Atomics, Destroyers, Invasions, Insanities, Realms.
Yeah.
The Specialist, Infinities, Fuel. There's the Eva Shockey Signature Series. Like, they had a slew of infringements, and they lost.
Yeah.
So, obviously.
This happens all the time.
Right. But,
just like we spoke about last week, there's so many different patents out there and companies borrow from others. And, this happens all the time.
All the time.
The difference is Matthews and Bowtech are on the same level as far as company and revenue and sustainability. Right. So they were able to absorb that.
Yep.
And Athens and Jim and Tracy are not on that level. No. So they just didn't have the resources to fight the fight. They just couldn't fight the good fight. So
that's what happens when you got to pay patent lawyers and other lawyers and to go up against, again, an investment group.
Right.
There's a lot of investment groups coming into this industry. A lot of people don't know that. They think Pure Archery is just Pure Archery.
Right.
They got bought out last year in April by JDH Investments. So now you got somebody with a whole lot of money in their pocket.
Yes.
That can just do what they want to do.
Yes.
But I'm reading the letter that Matt McPherson sent to the retailers. As a valued member of the Matthews Archery family, I wanted to make you aware of a recent legal victory over Bowtech Archery. My intellectual property holding company, MCP IP, filed a patent infringement lawsuit against Bowtech over 2 years ago. The lawsuit was filed after 6 years of unsuccessful attempts to reach a fair private resolution with Bowtech. Bowtech has now admitted that more than 40 of their bows, as well as the Deadlock light octane quiver, infringed 228 claims. Like, Jesus, man.
Yeah.
Like, if this is the case, it's one.
Yeah.
You had 228 claims.
Yeah.
For patent infringement. So it's, again, though, you're comparing somebody that makes $60 million a year and $60 million a year to somebody that's got $6 million in revenue.
Yes.
So, they figured, okay, we'll stand up and fight it. Obviously, they lost, and it sucks.
But it didn't affect them.
Nope. Didn't change the damn thing.
Life goes on, and they just move on.
Right.
Whereas, with Athens, they didn't even get to the point, because, if you read it, back, you read that filing,
right.
They requested
a jury.
Mm-hmm.
And it never made it that
never
far.
got that point,
Nope.
to that point. So, and which, would have been interesting if they had got to that point.
What happened?
Yeah, who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But, Jim and Tracy just...
Again, that's, getting to that point, you still have to spend money.
Yes.
So they're spending money. And from my understanding is they got to the point where they had enough money to pay their employees for the rest of this month.
Yeah.
So that hopefully they could find a job elsewhere.
Right.
In the meantime, and still be having an income where, if they just went complete, zero, now they got employees that can't be paid.
Yeah.
And obviously those people are not going to be happy about that.
Yeah.
So things could have get, not that they're not worse, but it could have been a whole lot worse had they continued to try to get there.
Yeah.
So, I give them some credit for doing that, making sure their employees are taken care of. They've been there, most of them, I think, from when they took the company over 9 years ago.
Yeah. But like you said, it's trickle down too. So it's not just the Athens people, it's the local shops like you.
Mm-hmm.
Even a guy like Eric, right?
Yep.
Eric from Gas, he gets affected because he made all the strings for Athens.
Mm-hmm.
And now how many thousands of strings is he not going to sell?
Right. Because
Athens isn't producing bows anymore.
Right.
So it just trickles down and it affects a lot of people. So it's unfortunate. And, what makes it worse is, like I said, we know Jim and Tracy, and you're not going to find two better people.
No.
Forget about in the bow industry, just on the planet.
Yep.
Right. They're just super people. And you hate to see something like this happen because, with those two, Athens wasn't just their business.
Right.
Right.
It was like a baby.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This was their baby, and they put everything into it. Their whole life revolved around Athens Archery. Whereas, this Pure Archery Group, or whatever this new company is, it's a bunch of Wall Street suits that never probably
don't even know how to shoot a bow.
Right. So that's what makes it worse.
Yeah.
Just because, they just...
And especially just where Athens was, I met Jim and Tracy the year they bought Athens. And it was finally becoming, between some of the, ambassador staff that they had and more dealers picking them up, the people were going, hey, who the hell is this Athens company?
Yeah.
And then they touch a bow and they're like, well, now I know who they are. And it just became, it was just starting to catch on where the name was getting there. They were starting to get dealers out west, and, stuff like this happened.
MFJJ.
So, yep. Yeah.
He did a review on their bow. So it was just that, and I think maybe that might have come in, that might have come into play. They started.
Yeah, there was a couple guys that did reviews that were like, well, if this is, blah, blah, like,
yes,
don't get into that, but you're reviewing a bow.
Yeah.
Don't get involved with the legal side of it.
Yeah.
You don't know anything about.
Yeah.
So,
but my point was, some of the big names out there were starting to review these and put the Athens name out there.
Right.
And Athens was starting to get some traction.
Absolutely.
They were starting to get some traction with the big boys.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably where this came about.
Right.
Let's face it, if they were a little tiny mom and pop that was selling, 500 bows a year.
Right, who
Bowtech
cares?
won't even bother,
Yeah. But obviously it scared him enough
yes.
that, oh crap, we better do something.
Yes.
And I tried to stay out of the whole Facebook deal, as a dealer, but it's hard because you see some stuff. And again, when you know Jim and Tracy and you see people writing certain things, and Doug would be proud because I stayed like way back.
Yeah.
I could have jumped in, with a full head of steam and just started going nuts, but I didn't.
Yeah.
But I don't even know, like, when I saw the first review from MFJJ, and he must have mentioned that like, 6, 7 times?
Yeah, a few times, yeah.
And then I forget who the other person was that did one, and it was like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And, we're not at their level. We're not monetizing every video and every podcast we do. That's not what we're here for. But when you have guys like that, they're big Matthews nuts, because at first, the big thing everybody was talking about, how MFJJ was going to build the axis for his hunting rig this year.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, that video got pulled, and he's building a Lift 33.
Yeah.
So when you have guys like that do things like that, and you're putting comments out there to either the general public, or now, because you're big enough, you have these manufacturers looking at you, and you're putting this info in their head, it's not the way to do it. That's why we precursored this to, we're not lawyers. We don't know the background of it. We only have what anybody else can see.
Right.
And we're making our own, knowledgeable, guesstimated opinions on what we're reading and the research we're finding. So, we pulled up the Bowtech patent, and it doesn't show anything on the patent. It doesn't say anything on the patent, and it's just a movable cam.
Right. It's very broad.
Right.
And I think that's probably that's where the issue is.
Exactly.
It's so broad that kind of anything falls into that. So
you take any cam, and Doug and I talked about this before we started recording, is he has a solution here, and I grabbed it off the rack. We looked in, there's threads on the axle. You can plainly see them.
Yeah.
You take the Athens, there's no threads in there. Okay, so that's not a copy. The axles are completely different. The solution has the deadlock, and obviously it's moving it across those threads when you turn it.
Right.
The Athens doesn't do that. There's a bar that comes outside of the little piece that's attached to the limb and pushes the cam.
Right.
So it's almost like a shim.
Right.
But you can go either left or right with it.
Right.
Because if it's all the way in, the cam's going to come towards that limb. If it's all the way out, it's going to go towards your opposite limb. So literally the only things, and I mean, the boxes are completely different that everything is housed in. Yours has the big square on it. This is set right to the top of the limb.
Yeah.
They both use an Allen key.
Yep.
And they're both red.
Yeah.
That's all I can figure out.
Yeah.
And maybe Bowtech was pissed because they were like, hey, they made it red, the bastards.
Yeah.
I don't know. But that's literally all we can find.
Yeah.
So again, having just a broad statement of, if it moves a cam, well, why aren't you suing every other bow manufacturer? Because you can technically move a cam.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. But there's obviously the Matthews Bowtech one. It was big because it made like bowhunting.com, Archery Talk, like when that was all finalized. So, but we did find another one. Don't jump in on this one.
That was the Darton.
Yeah.
Right. Darton
v Bowtech.
Yes. Yeah. So again, this happens all the time.
Right.
And it just happens to be that, big players, they kind of absorb it and they brush it off, and it's business as usual.
And half the time, like I said, unless we started Googling this and researching it,
right.
All we had was the Athens v Bowtech.
Yeah.
Or Bowtech v Athens.
Yeah.
And that was, we looked that up because obviously, like we've mentioned a few times, we know them. I sell them. So we were trying to get the answers. But this one is something that just popped up because we typed in Bowtech lawsuits. And literally, this one, when was this one filed? Doesn't give me a date. But this is the funny part. You see where this one was filed at?
Yeah, Delaware.
So, Bowtech.
A lot of corporations are based in Delaware. So.
Right. So, Bowtech Pure Archery. So, this one lists like everybody. Bowtech LLC, Bowtech Inc., Bowtech GP, Excalibur Crossbows, Excalibur Crossbow Holdings, and Excalibur Crossbow Investors, But it was filed in the state of Delaware because that is where JDH Capital, which is the investment group that owns Bowtech, is a Delaware limited partnership that is the sole member of Bowhunter Acquisition LLC, which is the sole member of defendant Bowtech LLC, which they're the sole owner of blah, blah, blah. And it lists all of them here. But it was 4 infringements, correct?
Yes.
4?
Yep.
One was a crossbow.
Yes.
And that was what was that? It's the dry fire?
I don't know.
I think it was the dry fire safety mechanism. But so they list again all of the, patents and whatnot. Oh, this was filed in April 23. So this was like
a year ago. Yeah, right now, a year ago. Yeah.
And it does not or has not been completed. There has been no execution to as what happens to this.
Right.
But there's 4 of them. So that's, you have a company again like Bowtech, and the more I see about this, so Matthews goes after Bowtech, Darton goes after Bowtech. I'm sure there's been other ones that went after Bowtech. I know there was a gentleman in Texas that filed. Now they filed outside of court to get everything washed away, but he had gone to Bowtech when they came out with the center line.
It was it was a dampening system or something, wasn't it?
Something in the center line limb or something that they came out with on a bow. This gentleman from Texas is an inventor. He went up there for a meeting, had them sign an NDA, and they signed the NDA. And then this gentleman in Texas files a patent on his invention.
Yeah.
Bowtech didn't want it. A week later, Bowtech files another patent for the same exact thing.
Right.
So they basically broke the NDA. So again, it was thrown out. So it's just funny. That leads us kind of into our next thing. So last week we talked about Kevin Struthers breaking the world record.
Yep.
So Kevin Struthers has been in the industry since 1986 designing bows.
Yeah.
He worked for Bowtech at one point. He, if I read it correctly, owned Elite for a little bit before it changed hands. He then went to Obsession from 2011 to 2019 as their designer.
Now, did Jim work with him?
That's I don't know.
Elite?
I don't think so, because I don't remember him being there when I worked there.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but no. So he was there. That was 06. So I was not at Elite until 13. So
Okay.
Jim, well, no, because I don't think Jim worked with him there, because Jim was there when the outdoor group had it. So it was after the fact.
Okay.
But so he went from 2011 to 2019, he went to Obsession. In 2019, he left Obsession and went to Expedition, who I used to shoot for. Dude makes an awesome bow. I'm not going to argue. He makes a great bow. He, at the end of the year, last year, I remember, as I said last week, he made a Facebook post that he had left Expedition, his contract with Expedition, and he was going to somebody new, and there was 3 new bows coming out, but he would not say who.
Yeah.
And then I happened to see a post from Obsession about wait till we unveil our 3 new flagship bows. I was like, you went back to Obsession.
Yeah.
So we're staring right now at the Obsession website. So there's 3 bows out there. And not that we're trying to get anybody in trouble, but they have what's called the Perfex cam.
Yeah.
The flight cam and the NT cam with Perfex tuning. Guess what? It's a movable cam, man.
Yeah.
So, again, it just takes me back to, I think because Athens was getting so much traction, now they had a bow that had a tunable cam.
Yeah.
Which
in my opinion, I own the Bowtech with that, I think the Athens system is honestly better than the Bowtech system.
Right. Because it was easier to move.
Yeah.
And, the bows that we sold, it took literally 1 arrow to tune it.
Yeah.
So you saw what way the tear was, move the cam, you were done.
Yeah.
Not that you couldn't do it. We've done it with a Bowtech, but it usually takes more than 1 shot.
Yeah.
So I think it just became more of a, oh crap, this little mom and pop company is going to start digging into our pockets and taking sales.
Right.
We got to get rid of them. So again, now you have another company out there, and now the pictures of their cams, unfortunately, I can't tell you anything about them. I just can tell you there is a piece attached to the loom with a screw that goes into the axle that's going to move it.
Yeah.
Other than that, I can't see how it moves. If somebody wants to send in an Obsession, we will happily look at it. We'll do a bow breakdown on it. But And it's funny because after I worked for Elite, I worked with Obsession, and I don't remember Kevin being there, and that would have been the time Kevin was there.
Right.
So, I don't know. But you and I met Dennis, the owner, 2 years ago at ATA.
Yeah.
And we looked at the Obsession bows.
Yes.
And they're a great bow, don't get me wrong. But so the funny part is the flight cam, because we mentioned the world record last week. The flight cam and the NT cam are world record cam system with adjustable draw lengths in half-inch increments, including the Perfx tuning system for easy cam tuning. The draw cycle is incredibly smooth, record fast, and a solid back wall, as always, from Obsession bows.
Yeah.
Literally what it says on their website. But again, I don't know how it moves or anything of that nature, but I just know it's there.
Yeah.
So again, it just takes me back to everybody's cam moves in some way.
Yes.
Whether it's a system that you're turning something to do it with or you're shimming it, it's moving the cam.
Yeah.
So again, to have the generalized, oh, it moves the cam, we got to sue him. I don't know. Yeah, a little hard for me to swallow on that one.
Yeah, and you know, the ones who really suffer, I mean, other than, you know, Jim and Tracy obviously are suffering more than any of us, but we as the archery community really suffer because, you know, we've lost a fantastic bow company. We've lost, because if other companies could use that technology, because it's great technology.
Sure.
Instead of having to break it all down and put shims in there, you know, this is great technology.
No bow presses, no nothing.
Yeah, so, you know, it's great technology that all of us should be able to, you know, enjoy, regardless of what brand bow you shoot.
Right.
It kind of hurts all of us. So I just wish that, you know, we could all just kind of get along, right?
Yeah, and I mean, it's funny because you hear me mention on here, you've heard me mention on videos. I've just been in the industry too long to care about the fanboy crap. And, you know, do I hate Matthews? No. Do I dislike them? Yes. But we have probably more customers that come in with a Matthews for us to do something to. I don't ship them out of the damn shop. Right. It's a bow.
Right. You
shoot a bow, I shoot a bow. We're going to hang out and talk and bullshit, and I'm going to make fun of you for shooting a Matthews. That's all there is to it. And, you know, so I've never really shot a bow that had like that fanboy base to it.
Right.
You know, way back when I worked at Parker, I freaking shot a Parker. I shot a Winchester Stallion.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't shoot big name brand bows. I never have.
Yeah.
I happened to shoot Elite when I worked for them because I had a bow.
Right.
But, you know, now like I shot a PSC for target season, indoor target season this year. And Tracy had actually asked me before going to Lancaster, oh, are you shooting your Athens? No, I actually sold it to somebody and I grabbed a PSC off the shelf.
Yeah.
You know? So I don't jump on those things. Are there certain things that I liked about the Athens more than I like about something else? Absolutely. It's the draw cycle.
Yeah.
So if you go back to early 2000s Elite bows, their big thing was the draw test, draw ability. So you go to a dealer and take the Elite draw test. And I mean, there was Elites that you can literally draw back, and I could have walked around the store with the bow drawn in one hand. And that was no joke. Like, that happened.
Yeah.
And I think because Jim was there, when him and Tracy decided to open Athens, that was his goal, was to beat that draw cycle.
Yeah.
And I'm not old, but I'm not a big guy. Like, I don't shoot 70 pounds. 65 is now starting to hurt a little bit just because I'm getting older and my shoulders suck. But, you know, I don't have to think about a 65-pound Athens.
Right.
A 65-pound PSC, not happening. I got to turn it down some.
Yeah.
So it's the argue, like, and am I part of it? Sure. And I try not to do it. And that's why before, like I said, I tried to stay out of all the conversations that happened on Facebook when everything happened on Wednesday. But again, I'm going to bust your chops for shooting a brand. And that's just because of the way I feel about the brand. That's my opinion of the brand.
Right.
Do I not like you because you shoot that? No.
Right.
Doug came in, he shot a Bowtech. I don't like Bowtech, but first time he came in the shop, he came in with a solution.
Yeah.
You know, and here we are. Now we have a podcast. So you're right. It's got to be, we can bust chops like we're sitting around at the bar and, you know, make fun of each other. But
it's like Ford, Chevy, Dodge.
Right.
Right. Mm-hmm. It's the same deal.
Yep.
So they're all good trucks.
Right.
But everyone's got their own preference. Same thing with the bows. I mean, all these big name bows. They're not bad bows. They're not. There's not a. They all make good bows.
Right.
So, yeah, it's nothing personal. It's just personal preference.
Right.
But I think what drew me to Athens in the beginning is probably what did them in the end. So when I was first introduced to Athens, meeting Jim and Tracy and seeing, how genuine they are as people and how much they cared about their customers.
Right.
And they were such a small business. And, like when you had a problem, you call and Tracy answered the phone.
Right.
You call any of these big companies, you call Bowtech or you call Matthews, you're getting an operator.
Yeah.
So the fact that they were small companies, what drew me to them in the beginning, and their customer service is, better than anybody else in the business, bar none. There's no customer service that's better than Athens, which is what drew me to them as well.
Right.
But because they were small, and that's the downfall, because they were so small, they were easily manipulated.
It had a huge target on them because of the size.
Yes. So they were just easy prey.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was the big draw to them. And that's, in the end, that's probably what did them in.
Right. And when Doug talks about customer service, so if there's any of the other Athens dealers listening, so if you custom ordered a bow for a customer, not just like I was ordering a bow for the shelf. This was like, hey, somebody came in, I want this bow, I want it in this color, I want blah, 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 whatever. Tracy would hand write a card and put it in the bag.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see Matt McPherson. I want to see, somebody from JDH Capital writing cards out when somebody buys a Bowtech. Not going to happen.
No.
So that's just the type of person or people they were or are. And, that's the killer is like, if I would call to order a bow, unless Tracy was on lunch, I would get Alex, which is one of their employees.
Yeah.
Normally, Alex answered the phone, or Tracy answered the phone.
Yeah.
But very much the same way when I talked to them last week, obviously they were heartbroken, and they were supposed to be at Archery Fest.
Yeah.
And obviously, they don't have bows to come to Archery Fest. And I made it a point to tell them, listen, just come down. Like, come and hang out.
Right. Just be there. Just be Jim and Tracy.
Right.
Don't Athens Archery.
Right. Yeah. Just come down, hang out. We'll take you around the courses and all that stuff. They were there last year.
Yeah.
They weren't, but Jack, which was one of the reps, he came down with the trailer.
Yeah.
And Tracy said to me, she said, we already still have it on the calendar, so we will probably be there at least one of the days.
Yeah.
And that's just them being there, even though of all the crap they're going through, to come down, one, just to let them be themselves and, see some people and talk to people and whatnot. But
yeah,
the fact that they were like, oh, well, now that we're not doing this, we're not going to come, that tells me, hey, they're still willing to, we promised you we'd be there, we'll come and support you and be there for you, not just because we're a bow company. We're going to come down and see what you have going on and help support that.
Right.
So that's a big thing that a lot of people don't know, is they are a veteran-owned company. So that's another part that's, sucks.
Yeah.
So everybody talks about vets and, they get treated like this and treated like that, and then you have something like this happen. Yeah. So definitely sucks, but, we hope the best for them. And, thankfully I have their cell phone numbers so I can reach out and check on them every once in a while. But
yeah.
So, lawsuits, it's kind of way of the game in this industry, which sucks just because there's so much going on.
Yeah.
And it's, it is what it is. But so that's, if you didn't know about the one that was filed last year against Bowtech, you guys can follow that as it goes, because I haven't seen anything on an outcome from it. But I'm not sure if it's actually current Darton or Rex.
Yeah.
Suing them for those infringements.
Yeah.
Because I believe Rex still has all those patents. They're not, Randy's yet.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure exactly who filed that, but somebody did.
But it's, it's funny, going back to what we spoke about last week, if H.W. Allen isn't killed in a car accident in 1979,
none of this
has happened. We don't even having this conversation, because every one of these companies would be infringing.
Yep. And I did see one, so I didn't know this, but Allen sued Jennings.
Oh, yeah.
Jennings never licensed it.
Oh, okay.
He just went and did it because he figured, well, I'm going to make some money.
Yeah.
And so he did lose that battle.
And that was a different world too.
Oh,
absolutely. In the 70s,
Yeah.
it was a different world.
That was $100,000 lawsuit, not
Yes.
$1 million lawsuit.
Yeah. So it was a different world. But yeah, so, it all goes back to patents. And if that didn't happen, it just changes the face of archery forever.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's kind of crazy how it all works out. But
and I tell you, we couldn't have led that last week's episode to this week's episode.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So
that's pretty bad.
Yeah. So,
but we hope you guys enjoyed our take on it. And again, we're not lawyers. It's our opinion.
Yeah.
We're just telling you how we feel after looking at it. We shoot bows every day. So it is what it is. Take it for what you take it as.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we will be back Easter Sunday with maybe an arrow breakdown. But we are going to throw a bow in there because I'm going to bring that Axis 31 because that was actually the next bow that we were going to break down. And maybe we'll break it down anyway. Just let people see it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because there's plenty of them out there.
So, and you can buy them super cheap from certain places right now.
Yeah.
But we appreciate you guys tuning in, and we will talk to you next Sunday, Easter Sunday.
Yes.
So enjoy, and don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. We're going to break down that APA Black Mamba 29.
Yeah.
Until next week, we'll talk to you later.
Yeah, we'll see it.